Well, I'm here to talk about community engagement. It really is a two-way street when we're working for the government. It goes both ways and all around. Really what we're talking about is rather than providing services to residents and getting generic feedback, how can we really work collaboratively as partners in our communities towards a common goal? So sometimes government engagement too often feels like propaganda. Communities are a constituency of our taxpayers, of course, to whom we're accountable, while at the same time sometimes appearing like a massive sheep to be managed. So that's why community engagement is so confused for marketing, a way for government to get out their messages. But because we work for the government, we also believe that it's a good thing. We believe in the value of services provided for the needy and leadership for the common good in the long term. So beyond our simple mandates, we know, because we're passionate public servants, that our work is much more than our mandate, but in fact depends on the people that we're here to serve. Too often government is directed by a single voice, a single perspective in our increasingly diverse society. So everyday voices from many diverse points of view are not invited to the table. So a more inclusive model is necessary. A consideration of our communities neither as bosses nor subjects, but as partners. And in order to work as a team, we need to create a space for all of our partners to contribute their voice, contribute their strengths, and together satisfy our needs. We are in this together, and what we need to develop is a shared vision. I work in environmental services, and one of our mandates is waste management. But we cannot manage waste without the participation of all of the residents and businesses who produce it and are impacted by it. Many people generally agree that it's important to reduce garbage and protect the environment, but that looks really differently to everyone. Some people believe that conservation and open prairies are their image of environment. But Minneapolis as a city is famous for our green spaces and man-made environment. Many traditions and cultures and faith communities talk about stewardship in a way that government does not. And it's important to expand our scope from conservation within the confines of government work. Environment means something different to everybody, and how do we address that? And how do we talk about the everyday impacts of the environment that aren't related to trees and grass? All of these people see themselves as environmentalists, but they express their goals very differently. So what does environmental protection look like to you? So I have learned to build inclusive engagement over years of performing outreach for various agencies, and that means relating to each individual on how they see the environment and finding out how it relates to their daily lives and building from that foundation. And it's a time-intensive activity, but it does pay off, as we've seen a lot of success in environmental services in increasing recycling and reducing waste, for example. And then strong partnerships start with humility. We aren't the suits, we wear jeans and coveralls. And we create a welcoming atmosphere that gives community members the first step of empowerment by breaking down those barriers that define positions of power. I came from the Peace Corps, which has a great history of stepping down precocious graduates to stop thinking that they're all-knowing and instead take the lead from the communities in which they're sent. They connect with experts on their own lives to lead community development that's relevant for each community. So the county does a lot of accessibility, which at the basic level is translation and transportation. This is harder than I thought. And then it's also just developing different methods to access our resources. We want to enable residents to engage with our programs in a way that makes sense for them. Sometimes that's a presentation, sometimes it's hands-on and one-on-one programming. And we work really hard to develop a lot of different ways to do that. And partnerships across different agencies can help us inform us in developing those programs. This is my coworker Patience, who goes out of her way with her partnerships to support different groups and find creative solutions for what they identify as needs in their workplace. And the Greenpeace version of environmentalism is often stereotyped as a largely white middle-class leftist movement, but environmental values, of course, run very deep across cultural and historic divides. So how does the government talk about what is sacred, what is Mother Earth and Pachamama on a different level? One example is urban gardening, which has been kind of a Trojan horse for environmentalism, to get into communities that often struggle just with day-to-day living and talk about nutrition and take it a step further to talk about the environment and how that affects them daily. Working out of the box is more than a cliche. It's really necessary to look beyond the mandates and expand our scope and really solicit the perspectives from even the smallest members of our community to learn about what they see as the environment and how they relate to that and what programming will get them to be engaged. Environmental education is also a powerful alternative for a lot of kids to learn outside of the classroom and help and can really help recover graduation rates for a lot of students. Or in Minnesota, where we have to really face the fact that students of color are not succeeding in our classrooms, and environmental education is one way to get to that. And as the government, we're responsible for using our taxpayer trust as an equal part of our community. So we do a lot of collaboration with a lot of different partners to identify the best ways to work together towards those shared goals.